Thanks for joining the Savvy Ladies Wednesday Wisdom webinar. I'm Maggie Montemuro, and I'm the Marketing Manager at Savvy Ladies. A quick reminder that if you have any questions during the webinar, you can type them into the chat box, and if you're joining us by phone, email your question to info@savvyladies.org. Today's presenter is Diane Pollack, founder of Style and Power, a wardrobe consulting service in New York City and the fashion solution for the everyday woman. Diane focuses on helping busy women achieve an organized closet and empowered wardrobe. Style and Power is also a petite specialist. Diane has over 20 years of experience as a clothing designer. She believes that feeling confident in your clothing is empowering internally and radiates outward. Her service focuses on the individual's style, taste, and budget. Thanks for joining us today, Diane, and let's get started.
Great, thank you. Okay, so ladies, today we're going to talk about why you have nothing to wear and how to stop closet overwhelm. So we're all very different people with very different wardrobes and very different tastes, styles, and budgets, but many women have closet overwhelm. So if you open your closet and have nothing to wear, if you don't know how or what to purge, if you need suggested strategies on how to quickly and easily get dressed, and if you don't know how to fit your wardrobe into your small New York City apartment, then you are going to be very happy to spend the next half hour with me. So I have been in many clients' closets, and I have come up with the top 4 reasons your closet is a mess. The first reason is that you just don't make time to go through it. The second reason could be some people are very sentimental. They hold sentimental value on certain items that they don't wear, and so it just sits in their closet. Also, there are many people that end up spending a lot of money on items, and then they just feel bad getting rid of them, although they're sitting in their closet doing no good. And lastly, for some reason, if women have gained weight and they no longer fit into the clothing in their closet, they are hoping that one day they will fit into them again, so they are holding on to these items. So what is your excuse? For many women, it could be one, it could be a combination of them. But take a minute and actually imagine if you opened your closet to only see clothing that you loved, fit you, was seasonal, and appropriate to wear to your everyday activities, what would happen then? When you opened your closet, you would actually have something to wear. So before we get started, let me just tell you a little bit about me. Growing up, I have always been just naturally a creative person. I used to make jewelry, fix jewelry. I always played with my clothing. I would dye it, cut it, taper it, add trim to it, etc., reinvent it in some way. So I just have always been naturally creative. And this led to a 20-plus year career as a clothing designer. As a designer, technically, I learned about fabric fit and construction, and I also learned to design for women of various body types, styles, taste, budgets, etc. But as the industry changed, I decided after a long time that I was done with it. And so I created Style and Power, where I help everyday women by saving them time, stopping the overwhelm, and creating outfits that they feel empowered in. I also found out, as a bonus, that as I was working in people's closets, that not everybody was as organized as I was. And I have found that I actually make a claim to everyone that I can find a space to put everything that is worth keeping. So the combination of my innate creativity, the knowledge I've learned as a designer, and my organizational skills all help to help me with my clients do the best I can for my clients. So in this lecture, I am going to later on share with you 4 strategies to choose from that will make getting dressed easier for you. And if you stay to the end, I also have a gift for you. Do you have closet paralysis? So that's what it is when a woman stands in front of her closet, staring into the abyss, a closet full of clothing, and just stands there paralyzed because she doesn't know what to wear. So the 3 factors that go into choosing what to wear every day are where are you going that day is number 1. So you have to think about, are you going, if you go to an office, or if you're an entrepreneur that works at home, and maybe you are going somewhere after work, it could be a date, it could be a business meeting. So you're going to need to combine all of those factors of what is appropriate to where you're going that day. You also have to take into account the weather. It might be raining, you might only want to wear certain shoes in the rain, you might have to wear a certain coat over your items, so that's an important factor. And finally, mood. Mood can be as something as light as I look into my closet and somehow something just clicks with me and I'm in the mood to wear it that day. It can also be something a little bit heavier, such as you have PMS that day, you're feeling fat that day, it's a rainy, gross Friday. So all of these factors go into deciding what you're going to wear. Now, there are also a bunch of issues that women have in their closet that cause this closet paralysis. Sometimes some people have extensive wardrobes, and there's just too many items in the closet to choose from. It's overwhelming. As I mentioned about organization, if items aren't physically organized well, it's hard to find them. They might get lost. You might forget that you have them. We also mentioned items don't fit, or you just don't wear them. So there's just stuff hanging in there that's not necessarily wearable for that time. Some women have no signature style, and therefore they have a lot of different categories of items that don't necessarily mix and match together. I will add a personal note in there that I know that there are many stylists that talk about you must have a personal style, and I will create a personal style for you. And I do that sometimes with my clients, but I also think it's okay. Sometimes some people like a lot of different types of styles, and it's okay to have them. You just have to know how to put the different items together, and it makes it a little bit more complicated. And finally, in general, both from a style perspective and also from an accessorizing perspective and proportions, etc., they just don't know how to style them properly. So all of these items contribute to the closet paralysis. Now I'm going to tell you what and how to purge items. So if something is ill-fitting, it's not flattering, it just needs to go away, unless there's a way you can tailor it. But otherwise it needs to go. If there's an item you don't like, or you put it on and you just don't feel good in it, why would you want to have it hanging in your closet? So that's something you should get rid of. Any item that you don't wear for any reason, whether it be fit or feel good, or it's just hanging there, whatever the reason is, and you're not wearing it, it should go. Items that are dated or out of style, especially if you know that you can replace them, those should go. And finally, damaged or stained, torn items, etc., that just don't look fresh and new, those should also go. So how do you get rid of these items, and how do you decide sometimes how to get rid of these items? So here I have a bunch of recommendations. You can try one, you can try many, see what works for you. The first I'm calling a test run. So that is on a day when you don't have important meetings, events, you're not really seeing any or many people, put on that item and wear it for the day and see how you feel in it. So walk around, think about how am I feeling this item, and then take it one step further and think, what if I ran into an ex-boyfriend that I wanted to look good for, or someone that I went to high school with? How would I feel wearing this item? And if the answer is, I feel great, I would be happy to see the person in that item, great, keep it. And if the answer is, well, I'd rather be wearing something else, then I would say, get rid of it. That is one method. Another method is called the hanger switch. So that is, at the beginning of the season, you have all your items hung up in your wardrobe. As you start to wear the items, you turn the hanger around. At the end of the season, you look and see what items have not been turned around. That is when you then evaluate these items. Why didn't I wear them? Do I just have too much clothes? Do I not really like this anymore? You can decide what to do with it from there. Some of the items might go back into the closet for the next season, the next year of that season, but at least you've made a mental note that this might be an item to get rid of. It can also go into my next suggestion of out of sight, out of mind. That is where you take the item out of the closet, off the hanger, out of your rotation of garments, and you stash it somewhere. I'm not recommending that you make a mess, but somewhere that is not in your closet of wearable clothing. If you think about that item and say, oh, I'd like to wear that today, or if it's the one item that goes back to something else that you want to wear, pull it out of the closet and by all means wear it. But if at the end of the season you did not miss that item, then I'm sure you can get rid of it and won't miss it at all. The next suggestion is actually more about seeing if you can keep the item than getting rid of it. So if you have an older item and you now pair it with a newer updated accessory, a bag or shoes or something like that, and it looks great again, then maybe it's the backdrop for this new updated accessory, and maybe it's actually okay to keep. But if it doesn't look great with the new accessories, then maybe it is time to go. My last suggestion is something that I do. I don't know if every person who's not as visual and creative as I am can utilize this, and I would be interested in hearing comments from everybody if this makes sense to you. But what I do is I picture the item in a store. Now, it's not any store. It is a store that either I shop in and love, or maybe it's a higher designer name that I aspire to look like and purchase lower items, but in the vein of that store. Now, this store cannot be a department store that carries multiple brands and multiple styles. It has to be a very specific style store that carries a very specific thing. For instance, everybody knows that Tory Burch has a particular style. It could be something as contemporary as a Scoop or Intermix that carries many brands, but it's a very particular style. So if I aspire to look like Scoop or Intermix, if I picture my clothing hanging in that store, does it fit in? Does it look like it's up to date and with the season? Does it look like it has that look? And then I can decide, well, you know, maybe it doesn't, and maybe it looks outdated, time to go. So I think that there's many things, the test run, the hanger, out of sight, out of mind, all these different things, you can try one or try many of them. So hopefully these will be useful tools for you on how to purge. Now, more on purging, how you can actually feel good about purging. So my first list is sort of some obvious things, but maybe you need to be reminded that, hey, you can actually get a tax deduction with donations to thrift shops. Also, right now, there have just been more and more options to sell online, whether it's a photograph online, whether it's sending a box. There's so many different things that are popping up, different apps, etc., on how to sell items online. And last in that group is consignment shops, where you can also make money. How about realizing that you can help a charity? Now, I have two logos of charities pictured here. One is the Bottomless Closet, which is an organization that I volunteer my time towards. And not only do they help dress women in need, but they also help on the side with resumes and workshops and everything. These are underprivileged women who cannot afford to purchase the interview appropriate items and really need them to get the job. So if you have that extra blazer hanging in your closet amongst the slew of other blazers that you own, and you're sort of on the fence about it, wouldn't it feel great to donate that to a woman who cherishes that blazer, helps her get the job and improve her life? So you can feel great about that. So any interview appropriate business type clothing can be donated to Bottomless Closet. Another fabulous organization to donate to, if it is not business clothing, is the Fashion Foundation. So I happen to know the founder, Amanda, who's listening right now. Hi, Amanda. And depending on where you live, she might be able to pick up the items for you. What it is an online store, and again, feel good. The proceeds of this nonprofit are donated to purchase school supplies for underprivileged children. So how great. Purge your closet and donate to people who could really use the help. And lastly, did you know that you could actually help the environment? So one thing that may or may not seem obvious is if you send your stuff to a thrift shop, of course you are repurposing, and somebody else, instead of making new clothing, is actually utilizing your castaways instead of it ending in a landfill or something like that. Another thing that you very well might not know about is that you can drop off any stained, damaged, torn clothing and other fabrics such as sheets, etc., any type of fabrics that are worn, torn, and unusable for their original purpose. And you can drop them off at the Uniqlo stores or H&M stores. And they actually pulverize the fabrics and repurpose them into new fabrications. And bonus, if you're an H&M shopper, that they will give you a 15% off your next purchase at H&M. So what are you waiting for? Purge your closets and feel great while doing it. Okay, so now how do you physically organize your closet so it's not a cluttered mess? So again, after being in this business, I didn't realize that so many people actually have physically unorganized closets, and it does make it more overwhelming, and that they just don't know or haven't thought about how to put it together well. So the first thing I do when I go into a client's closet is say, is it seasonal? So we've had a slew of 90-degree or very warm days this summer in New York City. And the last thing I want to do when I go into my closet is look at a wool sweater or coat or something really heavy. It just needs to not be in my wardrobe mix for now, because I am not wearing it anytime soon. So hopefully you have some sort of a location where you can stash it away out of your closet. If you can't, it needs to go at least on the side of the closet, a more inaccessible area as opposed to front and center. Then I look into, is it everyday wear? I did go into a client's closet one day and find that she had all these beautiful cocktail and special occasion dresses in the mix, front and center. that is not something that goes into your everyday wear. So of course it makes it more confusing when you open your closet, and that is not something you're going to choose from to wear that day. So you need to make sure that these items, hopefully you can put it in another closet, or again on the side in the corner, so that when you have these special occasions, you can go to these items, but you just don't need them now. Now let's talk about the physical organizational items, all like hangers. So if you notice in this picture, and yes, this is a picture of my closet, there are all like hangers, and they are all hanging at the same level. When you have a mishmash of hangers, things get lost, they're hanging at different lengths. It's really hard to see what you have. I always recommend to clients for regular clothing, not heavy coats and stuff, but for regular clothing, I love these narrow felted hangers. They do two things. Number one, they create so much space in your closet. If you're looking at this picture, I want you to note that this closet of mine is just a regular like doorway with a handle. It's not one of those long accordion pleated closets, and you're not even seeing end to end. Look at how many items are fitting into this closet. Now granted, this is summer items, so they're thinner, but still look at the possibilities. This is truly, these thin hangers are like literally one of these things that change your life. So I love them, and I also love them for the felting, because if you notice, I have a lot of silky tops, and they tend to slip off the hangers, and so do wide neck, either V-neck or scoop neck tops can sometimes fall off the hangers. So the felting helps stop that. So highly recommend that to anybody. The next thing I do is organize by category. If you look on the right, all of the items are sleeveless. As you get to the center, they're short sleeve. As you get to the end, they are longer sleeve. I also have a section that you can't see that is blazers. So what happens here is if I am looking for a blazer, I know that all of my blazers are in one place, and these are my options to choose from. I also know that sometimes if you have a sleeveless item next to a blazer, it might get lost behind it. So if I am looking for a sleeveless item, they're all right there in one place. So I highly recommend organizing by category. And the last thing that's really important is to utilize your space well. So this means two things. Number one, it means purchasing certain items, not only the hangers, but go to the Container Store or a Target or one of those stores and buy all the fabulous, not all the things, but the things that work for you that can help you make space in your closet. It could be hanging your shoes on a door rack. It could be the clear boxes that stack that you can put your shoes in so you can see what they are. It could be storage containers for the out of season items, whatever works for you to fit in and make better use of your space, I highly recommend. So now I want to talk about a common problem that I see all the time. People are not utilizing their space well. Right above where your hanging rod is, almost every closet I think I've seen has a shelf. And people do utilize that shelf, but they really only use a little bit of it. The closets go up way higher than the space that people use. So what I recommend is, what I do is I use that space for my out of season items. And you will need either some kind of box so that you can stack 1, 2, 3, however many fit on top of each other to utilize the space up high, or some kind of shelving. So some people actually use in season that shelf, which you can do, but then above it you want a hard surface that you can store other items in a box. It's a great space for out of season items. Also, you can store out of season items in an empty suitcase. You can also store them in these boxes if you have space under your bed. Whatever it is, make good use of your space and utilize all of it. Okay, here is the suggested dressing strategies that I talked about at the beginning. Now, this is not something, I think a bunch of you will either resonate with one of these. This is not really a multiple thing. I think this is definitely a preference thing. But see what you think and see what works for you. The first one is called the uniform. Now, this is for somebody who just wants a total no-brainer and does not want to think about what they're wearing that day and does not get bored with their closet. So a uniform, for example, is not a real uniform. What it is you have a certain style and shape that you wear on a regular basis. For instance, if it's a button-down blouse, you have a closet full of button-down blouses. They're different colors, maybe different patterns, maybe different sleeve lengths, colors, etc. But basically, you like a button-down blouse. And perhaps you like a pant in a certain shape or fit. And you have that in a variety of fabrics, maybe some patterns, etc. So every day you are pulling out that button-down shirt and those pants, and it's just a matter of different colors and variations. Another example of a uniform is you could wear a blazer with a shirt and jeans every day, but it's a different blazer and different shirt. So those are your go-to thing, set uniforms. That's what a uniform is. The capsule collection is talked about a lot for people who are minimalists. This is having a couple of things in each category that very easily mix and match with each other. So some people suggest, I don't have a number personally that I suggest. I don't do a lot of capsule closets, but I can do that if that's your choice. And so you would have one pair of jeans, one black pants, one cardigan, etc., etc. And these pieces would mix and match to make various outfits. So the thing about the capsule collection is you can have a lot of things with bells and whistles, weird shapes, interesting patterns, etc., because they're not all going to intermix. So these are a lot of very clean, basic items, and you just want it to be minimalist. The next thing is not something that I recommend, but I do have a client that this is what she wants, and so this is what I do for her. It is called Set Outfits That Work Together. And the reason that I don't recommend this is because you really don't get a lot of versatility out of each piece. So if you had a purple printed top, you would wear it back to your matching purple pants. I don't know, that sounds kind of horrible that it's purple, but whatever color it is, as an example. So you're hanging the pants with the blouse and only wearing those pants with that blouse. So it's easy to grab in your closet. It's a no-brainer, but it doesn't give a lot of versatility for those pants, say. The last is basics with accessories. So your core pieces are a backdrop for some fabulous accessories. An example of this would be a basic little black dress. One day you're wearing it with a novelty multicolored blazer, say, and had shoes with a pop of color that match back to the blazer. On another day, you're wearing the dress by itself, but with a gray belt, scarf, or necklace, and a different type of shoes. So people aren't really noticing that it's the same black dress because the accessories are really the statement. These are some options. Now, the other way to do it, which is something that I do and love because I love having a variety of clothing and styling, is to have an extensive wardrobe. This does need styling. It does take more time. You do need a friend to help you, an expert such as myself, or you need to spend time yourself really putting together and playing with different outfits and knowing what works. So that is not the quick and easy way, but it does certainly exist. And for me, I love it. What I do recommend for everybody, no matter what type of wardrobe and dressing strategies you have, is some go-to outfits. So if you have a work meeting, if you have a date, or maybe you just got up late and you need to grab an outfit and you need it to look good, I would recommend presetting some go-to outfits so that you can easily grab them. You know that they look great and go. And that is really the basics of my presentation, and this is all my information. Should you want to contact me, please do. And as promised, I do have a special offer for everybody listening today. What you need to do is go to my website, styleempower.com, stylempower.com, and you can either enter your email on the pop-up or at the bottom of most every page. There's a place to enter, and you will get a tip sheet, 9 tips to flatter your figure. Now, if you also want a special bonus on top of that, I am also offering a complimentary phone consultation for half an hour with anybody that is interested. And if you would like that, you can email me at Diane@styleempower.com. Again, STYLEMPOWER. And for the first 5 people that reply to that and send me an email, I will also send you a bonus video. I have created a video of the organizational tips that I illustrated in this webinar. So that is all I have to tell you. And I think, Maggie, that are there any questions?
Thanks, Diane. We had some questions come in, and just a reminder now, if you have any, you can type it into the chat or email info@savvyladies.org. And the first question we had is, with the convenience of apps, what are some good apps that you'd recommend to sell clothing on?
To sell clothing on?
Yes.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it is actually not something that I do. I do have a list somewhere, and if this person wants to email me, I would be happy to send the list. I'm not going to pull it out now. I do know that for fancy items, designer names, The Real is coming to mind. And I know that there are some box services that will send you, I feel like pulling out my notebook right now because I'm really blanking and I don't utilize this a lot because usually my clients do it themselves. So I feel bad for not having the direct answer, but please, whoever is asking this, and even if you're not asking this, email me, and I should probably also compile a tip sheet on that. So I would be happy to look up my notes and give you information on any of that.
Okay, great. Thank you. And another question we have here is, my closet is so small that I have no space for large organizational items. Are there some items that would work well in really small spaces?
Okay, so I'm not clear when she says she has no space for organizational items, if she has no space for the boxes to store things out of season. I'm not quite clear of the question, but I would say that if you went into a container store or something, they have things in all shapes and sizes. So even your storage, if it's not that full large box, they have boxes in all shapes. I'm pretty sure that even in her small closet, there's probably a shelf above the rack. And again, I would use all the height of that shelf. And as mentioned, maybe the storage is not in her closet. Maybe she can use the space behind her bed. I have 2 other places which are very particular to my apartment that I use storage space that are not closets. One is a closet. It's actually, but it's not my regular closet. It's my coat closet. And it has such depth behind it that I actually have a baker's rack behind the coat rack where I store all my winter sweaters, and I actually keep them there throughout the winter. So I do have to divide my winter coats and peek in to find my sweaters, but I have so many sweaters that it's a great space. Another space that I utilize, which again is very specific to my apartment, but I have this sort of rounded L-shaped couch, and so it stands away from the corner of the wall. And there is that corner behind the couch where I'm able to store boxes or bins and that type of thing. So maybe there is another space in your apartment where you could get some storage drawers or units. If I were there, I would, again, I'm great at finding what that great space is, but I just highly recommend that you look around your apartment. If it doesn't fit in your, I also highly recommend the very narrow hangers because you will fit a lot. But look around your apartment, and if there are other crevices and spaces where you can fit these storage boxes, drawers, etc., shelving, I recommend using that.
Okay, thank you. Another question is, I'm on a tight clothing budget. My closet is pretty full, but I feel like everything in it is so dated or I've worn it so many times. What are some things that I can do to freshen up my look without breaking the bank?
Love this question. This is an easy one for me because for a multitude of reasons, I always recommend accessories. So I would, your, I think she mentioned her closet was full. So I would purge the items that are just dated on its own. You know, a certain shape that looks dated and cannot be fixed or tailored. Definitely get rid of those items. Maybe some items can be tweaked. For instance, jeans right now, the skinny jeans, everything is above the ankle. And so you could spend very little money going to the tailor and cropping them to ankle length. And another good no pay way to do that is to roll them, and they'll look fresh and updated by rolling the hem of your jeans. But what I really wanted to get back to in loving the question was accessorizing. I recommend accessories for so many reasons. So you can freshen up your look with fresh accessories, and you don't have to break the bank, because especially for summer accessories, you can do fun, colorful things, and it doesn't have to be real gold jewelry and gems. There's lots of fun costume jewelry that can really freshen a look. You can also go with some great scarves. You know, and right now also, as far as bags, if you don't have a lot of money, there is a ton of what they're calling vegan leather, which is actually just fake leather, faux leather. And some of them, if you have a good eye, look really great. They don't look cheap. And you can get a new bag and a new necklace or scarf or something like that and really freshen up with the look with accessories. So get rid of the truly dated things that just have no life in them. Think about spending a little money on tailoring as opposed to purchasing other items, but definitely the accessories 100%. Put on a great, you know, hat if you wear hats or whatever it is, or maybe find a pair of fun summer shoes. Especially now is killer sale time. Everybody wants to get rid of their summer merchandise. So now is the time to purchase some fun items, and then you'll have them for next year.
Okay, great. And last question we have is, what tips do you have for someone who's holding on to clothing for sentimental reasons, but really isn't wearing them?
Okay, so depending on how much, when I work with clients, if they're very good at getting rid of other clothing and they have, you know, a high school jacket or, you know, a prom dress or something like that, then I let them keep that one item if it's like really, really special like that. Sometimes you might have the top that you wore on a first date with your husband or something like that. If the item is something maybe you could take a picture of and have that picture to look at, that's one great way to do it. Maybe that prom dress or jacket or something, maybe it can move out of the closet, out of your everyday rotation of clothing. Maybe it can be in a storage area, but not with your, you know, go-to items. Um, this is probably not a suggestion for everyone, but if you had a fashion mannequin or some place that it could be a decorative display in your apartment as opposed to hanging in your closet, could could you put it in a picture frame? Or, I mean, that's a little crazy, but it might work for some things. But definitely take a picture and try to get it out of your closet rotation. And you can keep that one really, really special item like the prom dress or high school jacket. But other things that are, if you have a ton of sentimental items, then I don't know, you got to purge some of them. I would say keep some, purge some at that point.
All right. Well, I think we're about out of time. So thank you again, Diane, for an excellent presentation. And thank you for your offer to the Savvy Ladies community. We'll send out an email as well with that information. And I want to thank everyone who joined us today and asked questions. And thank you again so much, Diane.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.